All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tabletop Spotlight. This is episode 8. No impending Duff tonight. He is at Gen Con. So, this is, I think, the first night of Gen Con, or tomorrow starts Gen Con. So, I unfortunately was not able to go. So, it's just me. This is GamerDad, otherwise known as Joe. I'm joined actually by Tony from Elrik Hobbies. Um, so, good.
Hello.
Hey. So, we have, oh, and, we have tonight bases. We're going to talk about scenic bases. We're going to do a little bit of a spotlight on Elric's hobbies and look at their baselines and talk about some stuff there. But we're also going to focus on the different style of bases, and I've got a few that are here to kind of show off from different companies a little bit. But we'll look at Games Workshop bases, Elric's bases. I think I have some from Secret Weapon, and we have some Micro Art Studios. So just a different style for everybody to let you see what kind of personality you can bring out of your models. So before we get started, Tony, why don't you tell us, because I've never heard this before, where Elric's Hobbies came from? Because that's obvious. Your name is not Elric, and I've been calling you Elric for months.
It's actually a tag I've been using for a long time. Like my email's Elric. It's from a book, Elric of Melonborn, that I read a long time ago as a kid. Spelt a little different,
Okay.
but that's what it's from.
and
This is kind of the second incarnation of the company,
okay.
actually.
How did it start? What was the first incarnation?
It was Battle Ready was the first part. I wasn't a partner then.
Okay.
Steve and another friend of his started it, and it didn't last very long.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, Steve and I talked about it and restarted the company.
Okay, cool. And so did you always plan, well, once Elric Hobby started, was it just focusing on bases at first, or did you start with something else and led into bases?
No, it was bases from the get-go.
Okay, cool. Well, I know I've seen the line grow a little bit, and I know you and I have been working on trying to expand it a little bit further. But before we start showing off yours, what I guess what does it for you with bases? Like what is it about resin bases or scenic bases in general that kind of, like, why did you start making bases?
I've been playing 40K for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
since the early 90s. And we've always did scenery and things like that on our bases. And we decided to start trying to do some resin stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it was a while before that happened, but Steve really started it, and then I came on after that whole thing started.
Okay. So, what was what was the first line you guys had? Like, what was the first style?
That would have been a couple of ones that aren't fully done yet that are on the website now.
Okay.
Like brick,
Okay.
a large tile, the diamond plate. Those are the first three. And slate. Slate was one too, but we did that one right away because it's so popular.
Okay. Cool. Well, I know. So I haven't seen the brick myself personally. I've got it over here on my screen off to the side, and I'll pull it up in a second for everybody to see. But I haven't seen the brick in person personally. But I've seen some of the bases that actually have some diamond plate on it, and it's pretty cool. I mean, for the size, they come out pretty detailed. Like it's pretty effective. Um, One of the things that I've seen, and maybe you can speak to this, I've seen some companies get very overly detailed with their bases. And it almost seems like you can't put a lot of the models that would fit that normal base size on there because there's too much in the way. Have you guys ever run into a case where you've kind of overly detailed something and had to dial it back, or?
Yeah, we have. I mean, some of the what is it? The temple ruins. Some of those are pretty detailed,
Mm-hmm.
especially like on the flyer size base, the 120. It's got a lot of steps to it. Um, but we try to make the bases so that the models will fit on there. And every time we do some where we check them, double check,
Sure.
and we're starting to do that more often. The issue is we really just have a lot of different people doing the bases too.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely one of the tough styles. You know, like you and I have been working on Fractured Pavement, and I know you've had some other guys chipping in, and then looking at the pictures, they look vastly different with just the cork. Right, we're using cork to start it, and they look so different. So it'll be interesting to see how you bring the synergy together with all the different styles once they get over to you. Um, so I noticed right now you've got your round bases like with the beveled edge and then with the curved edge. So it looks like they're fitting mostly what the Warma Hordes and Warhammer. Is that the standard size you're using right now, or?
Yeah, we're doing round edge and beveled. Beveled is like 40K
Yep.
GW style, and then round edge is a bunch of other different games.
And what about some of the
what
other
is it?
minis that don't use the standard like 40 mil, 25 mil, 32? Star Wars Legion comes to mind. That those are very specific different sizes. Is there any like do you see people wanting to go in that direction as well, or is that too much of a niche game to really get into those bases too?
Well, their small models are in 25s.
They are.
The difference is that their bigger models have this little piece cut out of them so that they can put is it a movement piece or
I think it's the ruler.
a vision like thing. It gives you what your line of sight is
Possibly.
when you put it on there, which way you're facing.
Yeah, I know the notch. I've got a model up there that's got the notch, but I don't remember what the rules were for.
Yeah, we looked into it,
Yep.
and we have some Star Wars stuff, but production for us isn't quick. So there's other things we need to focus on
That's fair.
in the other realm, and we have like four, like the first three bases I told you we made.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't fully finished. You know, they don't have 32s. They don't have the newer ovals, so we need to get those caught up.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I've always wondered because I did some research on the Star Wars Legion and the bases that were off-sized. It feels like for some of the companies producing these, if they don't have the ability to mass produce like crazy, you always wonder, would they just fall behind everyone else and be kind of late to the party to where it's really not super effective, right? Because you can make was it the ATST? Is that the model that the airspeeder and the little chicken walker, right? They're huge and they're on the bigger bases, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, with how long it takes me to make one, you know. So
Well, if you're not on it quick,
yeah.
you know, you've kind of missed that everyone's getting into it kind of phase. Because if they're already playing, that means their stuff's already based.
Yep.
And I had a lot of people ask me about it, and they're like, "We just want like sanded base," and I'm like, "Well, I don't need to make a sanded base. So you can do that."
Yeah. You go to Fantasy Flight and order their blanks and just put some texture on it. Yeah.
Right. Well, they get the blanks, right? When they get the model.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's something we might do if it gets more popular. I mean, people talk about it, but
Sure.
I don't know anyone playing it.
Now I've seen on your site you've done a couple of other things to support Star Wars. Like you've got is it MDF trays for X-wing? Did I see that on?
Some of them are MDF, but
Okay.
some of them are actual. What's that stuff called? The wood planks.
Okay.
The ones that have the pictures on them. Those are actually not Formica. What I forgot what it's called, but it's the fake wood to make your floors wood floor.
Oh, laminate.
Laminate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen those. I saw a couple. I just was when I was getting your Facebook link. I saw a couple as I scrolled through, so I forgot that you had those. I know that some of the other things you've done scenery wise, like is the Age of Sigmar game, the board game, which the name escapes me. It's on the other side of the room. I can't remember if anybody else remembers the name, but it's the terrain pieces for the board, the hex tiles.
Oh, Underworld.
Underworlds. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
Because
we just did the one set.
Yeah.
That was it.
Did you guys have fun making that, or did you kind of just want to go back to your old base styles instead?
No, it was just something. You know, sometimes you get like an itch that,
Sure.
like, I want to do this project. And you just, you know,
Yeah.
it's one thing good about being the owner. You can just do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. Or have other people send you obnoxious texts like, "Hey, look what I made. You should make these." like
Yeah, that too.
like plinths. I'm definitely sending that to you guys, by the way, just to give everyone some backstory here listening in. So Elric and I have been working with some fractured pavement bases, and it's just supposed to be a bunch of broken roads. And I did a competition piece for Everchosen, and the base I wanted to use was one of the city ruin bases, and I was not allowed to use it because it was a third-party base and it was a GW competition. So I made my own from scratch using the same style that I'm designing with Tony for fractured pavement, and I put it on a square plinth. So it's just a smaller version of a wood cube with a bunch of cork and texture and stuff like that. So um, I've been wanting plinths for a while, and I was excited. Now I've got two that I can use for scenic pictures and everything like that. So, well, let's jump into talking more specifically about some of the styles of bases. I'm gonna focus on some of the, we'll say, competitor bases first, with GW first and foremost, and then talk about what is it, Secret Weapon and Micro Art Studios, and then we'll get into your product lines and what you guys have available. So I'm gonna switch here to where it's gonna show myself and the hobby camera. I think there we go. All right. So one of the examples that we have here, I'm just showing the Necromunda 30 mil or 32s, just the plastic ones that came out when Necromunda came out, and these are kind of just intended to be metal corroded bases, right? They're just flat, pretty basic things that allow you to just kind of up the game to kind of get that underworld theme. That's one of the styles that you can go with. Another one from Micro Art and Elric, I don't know if you've seen this one specifically before, but this is one of their arcane bases. The concern I've
Yeah, I
had,
think you showed it to me.
yeah, I mean they're beautiful. They're very very detailed, but the problem is if you take a model that needs to fit on it, like I really kind of feel like these are decent display bases if you want to make a diorama setting, and I'm sure people can do things with them, but there's all sorts of different stories you can tell with your bases, right? Using this arcane one, it'd probably be something for a fantasy based model, not necessarily 40K, maybe
Flyer.
a flyer, yeah. Thousand Suns might be some of the like chaos sorcerer kind of styles might go good on these, but yeah, one of the things I've liked about scenic bases in general is the ability to accent or tell a story for your model that you can't normally just tell with a flat plastic base, right? Because this is what GW sends you, right? Just the flat plastic. Now this is more Micro Art Studios, like an underwater one. This is it's just the oval base for it's their underwater theme. So I think what your sea elves, I can't remember the exact style for Sigmar. Um, just cool little techniques or cool little styles that you can run. And then we come over to your bases, wooden trenches, right? And I've painted a few of these up in the past, and I think these are pretty cool. To was it death? Is it the Deathcore Krieg? Is that the name of the? Is that what you would have put these guys on? Is that one of the things you had
for guard?
Guard. Yep.
Yeah, that's Steve's baby right there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he loves that thing. He came up with all of them and did all the drawings for him and stuff. It was pretty cool. It took him. He actually he's still working on them. We have a couple that aren't finished yet. Yeah, because we try to do every base size for GW's range. But there's a couple still not finished. But he has the drawings done, so we just need to sit down and knock them out.
When you have the time, right, with all the conventions and all the other stuff.
Well, we don't have another convention until October.
Okay, well, you get some time to breathe then.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite lines though is is it Shattered Terrace, if I'm saying it correctly?
Yeah, Shattered Terrace.
It's one of
the ones you have right there.
One of my favorites. The thing that I like, when I could tell similarities between your base styles, right? Because if I bring in all the different Shattered Terrace and your slate bases, I think, are also paired with them, because some of the Shattered Terrace have rocks, right? This one's got a little bit of rubble. Here's some rubble on parts of it here, and then your slate is all sand and rocks. So you can combine some of the product lines together to give you more character, because if you have a whole bunch of models using this space, you don't have a whole lot of variety, right? You're not going to make 5 or 6 different styles of this size. But when you combine it with things like the city ruins and slate, you get a whole bunch of different kind of life out of it. Like, for example, this for a bike base, I'm using this for my jackals, for my gene stealer colts. So here's a city ruins base
Yep.
for bike size. Here's the same one in Shattered Terrace, right? Slightly different tile size, but with the gravel, with the dirt and everything, you can combine it together. And then you add in some that are slate, you just have a whole world of style. And where's the guy? You can put like the taller ones, your characters and stuff like that on. So it's really, I don't know. I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you and because I'm working with you on a project, but the reason I did reach out to you is because of the personality that you guys put into these bases and the way that they can intermix and kind of get along with really adding life to your model, because you could tell you guys have tried to dry fit things to it when you design them, so you kind of had an idea of what'll work with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we try to.
Yeah,
Doesn't always happen.
sure, of course. I don't think I've put a model on every single one of the ones I've been working on, but you get an idea for what will fit. And to be honest, like some of the 60s, not all of the 60s work for the ATV. I think the other city ruin base won't fit the Jackal ATV.
Yep.
Where this
There's too much stuff on it.
Yeah, yeah, but it still looks, it's still awesome. It's one of my favorite styles. I'm just making a mess, right? So here's the original one.
Yeah, and those jackals are fairly new.
Yep. So these were obviously built well before that. These were designed well before the jackals came out. But and they've got a whole bunch of different. They've got tons of different life out of it. Like here's one of the 40K or the AdMech guys that Duff painted up for me with one of your bases on there. So I'm putting my Gene Stealer cult against my AdMech in kind of a matching style. So in a city ruins style kind of thing. So what I want to do, unless you had anything to jump into, I want to kind of go through just some of the different product lines real quick and pull up the web, I hope. There we go. So I want to start with just some Micro Art Studio a little bit first. And these are just their round bases.
So are their 25s? Are they all different? I know before they used to have only 5 were different in their sets. I don't know if they've changed that.
Well, these are just their toppers. I'm trying to.
Oh, so those should be different.
Yeah, these are I think acrylic toppers. Here we go. We'll look at just some of their styles.
And they have some really cool bases. I have some of their stuff.
They do. I mean, I like some of the stuff, and these do look like they are individual. Some of the other ones, I think this is. I'll bring it back up on the camera in a little bit. I think I've got. Yeah, the problem I had with Micro Art Studios is it was very difficult to align my bases right to something. Here we go. Here's all their bases. It was difficult to get a matching style, right? Because I was working on Eldar, Dark Eldar, and Harlequins. And I didn't want all of the different styles to be the exact same base. Because if you have all these 25mm troopers, you're going to have 5 or 10 of the same exact bases across 50, 60 models. And it was just going to wear me out because none of their stuff really seemed to synergize together. Whereas you get some city ruins, you get some Shattered Terrace, you get some slate, and you're good to go. One of the base styles I did kind of go with if we can find it on here. They have their ghost, yeah, their wraithstone. So these were pretty cool. I mean, they're sending them in packs of 12, and you could tell that they designed these specifically for something like an Eldar theme. I can't imagine anything else unless you're going to make an Eldar world kind of scenery that these would work for. I mean, I feel like they're very narrow focused, which is good at the same time. Also very
I don't know.
difficult.
You got to think both sides, right?
Yep.
You could put those on there and have a Space Marine killing some Eldar or
Yep.
something.
You can, like, you can put a couple of models that would normally be on a 40 or a 32 on here and use it for like a diorama or scenic or something like that. So if your battlescape is Eldar themed, this would go very well because it would help you to suit all of your models for that battlescape. If you're trying to theme your army, it might be a little narrow focused, or the same side of that, the other side of that coin would be it's extremely focused to help you really sell your point of the style you're going with. If I go over, is it Terminus? I can't remember all of their names. So so it looks like they've been expanding their line to where there's a lot more variety. And they are pretty cool.
Are those 32s
That
you just showed?
Let's see. They were 25s. So the Terminus, nope, they were 32s. So there's 8 of them in here. But they don't look painted. They just look like they're resin right now.
Yeah, they're not painted. Just weird that there's only 8.
8, not 5, not 10. And here's their 40s. So Terminus looks to be more like Rhodes, kind of a sci-fi setup. And then you've got your basic things like concrete. And here's their they come in packs of 4. You're getting a random set of these.
Oh, it does say 4.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. So, I
mean,
do
that'd be
like
cool
them if you are trying to specifically focus like to an extreme diorama wise or battlescape wise. They do have some cool things. It's the same situation with Secret Weapon, right? If we look at their beveled bases, I gotta be honest, these are one of my favorite alien bases. But they're also, when I put them together, they're a pain in the ass to put models on. Because look at all this, if I can put this in the right spot.
There's no flat spots.
All of this texture.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
It is. But mounting things like Tyranids on here may be a little difficult. I have my Hive Guard on these 3 bases because I happen to have a set. I don't even remember why, but I painted them up and they were fun to paint, but it's limiting. And there's just a couple of others to go through. They have their Ghost Stone. And so with their 32s, this is a set of, a set of 10. It keeps putting the image in the wrong spot. So, pretty cool stuff. So there's a lot of personality, there's a lot of style, a lot of things that you can do with different bases. Another thing that some people are trying, objective markers, which I know you also have acrylic objective markers.
Yep.
They also have display, right? You can do things, make ornate displays. They've got all fancy kind of plinths. Another guy that does plinths like that would be Game Envy. So the same guy who makes Hobby Holder makes wooden plinths.
Yep.
But you can look at displays. Here's a square plinth. So I made one myself out of a wooden cube. These are resin poured display. Well, they're display sockets. So you can get modular setups to do a lot of this. Just town square themed. So they're really cool things. It allows you to go further in display when you're making like maybe competition pieces or doing a commission for somebody that might be a character. You can mount things on here, so it's kind of cool. and then we come over to you, and you could, yeah, it's showing correctly. You see some of the different things that some of the guys have been painting up with your bases. So here's one of your lava bases with a Space Marine captain. Here's Shattered Terrace with some custodes. And the armigers, these are the industrial bases, I believe. And Jack of Clubs using, is that city? That is City Ruins. With the special character from Gene Stealer Cult that came in the Kill Team box.
Yeah. That's the only reason I bought the box.
Yeah. And then my army
that guy's
painter,
amazing.
He is beautiful. My army painter spray kind of ruined it, so I have to strip the paint off of him because it clogged up and then it unclogged and just big old thick coat all over it, right on his face, so his face just became a smooth. It wasn't even a spot that I could hide it.
So, I feel you.
Here's the black zone. So this is Kenny over at Next Level painting up the. This is the Chaos Lord from Blackstone Fortress on the new
Celtic
Ruins. And I've got a couple of those. I really want to paint some one day, but I don't want to just. I've only been thinking of like sandstone to paint them as. And I've been looking for some different styles. Steampunk right here with some custodes. These are really cool with the diamond plate and a little bit of the wiring and stuff like that. The pictures on the website don't do them any justice until you look at something like this, and they look just amazing. So going through some of the lines, right, if we jump into your model bases, here's the Celtic Ruins. This is one of your newest set. This is your newest set, actually, right now.
Yep. That came out just before Adepticon. So May.
Yep. And you've got...
No. Something like that.
Yeah. You've got a couple of different sizes, 3 different 60mm designs, giving you some of that variety, right? So you can just pick the one you want.
That's pretty much what we do with all the base ranges. 3 different 60s. All the bases are different in every set, so none of them are the same. Right,
and your quantities are pretty much your 25s and your 30s come in packs of 10, and they are definitely 10 unique ones. I've seen your checklist, or I've got your checklist for when it comes to making these.
Yeah, it's big.
The 40s. One of the things that you like to do that I don't actually see a lot of other companies doing is they're not all just flat level bases. In fact, you've told me on a couple of mine, make them taller. It's really cool to put some characters a little bit higher up versus level. It just moving in that vertical direction also allows you to really change your style and give you some more character to your game. I don't remember how that plays into the rules in the current edition. Like if you have a model that might be half an inch or a quarter of an inch lifted because of the base, I don't know if that hurts you in the game, since I haven't played any of this edition. But
isn't it true line of sight?
I think it is.
Yeah, but a half inch doesn't really matter because the walls and stuff are all 3 inches.
Right.
For the most part. Unless, you'll either be in cover and hidden or you won't be, but you'll still be in cover. So.
Right. Yeah, so I guess they've accounted for that. I've seen some other bases that, like some of the GW character, like they made that character pack where you can really kind of design your own bases and get things really, really popular. They had one that I feel like this is probably an exaggeration, but I feel like one of the character bases was close to an inch tall. Like it added an inch of height to the model, or maybe 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I don't think I'd want to use it. They were like, oh, it's great to display base. Like, oh, okay. It was a little, so some of them felt a little excessive, but, so these are your Celtic Ruins, and are these just, molded tiles that were individually placed?
Yeah. So we hand put those.
Oh man, I've used that German company that makes the clay bricks. I've used those, and I can imagine that this was tedious because some of them are even battle damaged. if I'm looking at the close-ups. That's
well, that's extra.
yeah.
We actually have a thing coming out soon of just pieces of the Celtic ruins, the little plinths, the uh, little tiles and squares, so that you can break them off and actually put them on bases to design your own.
Oh, that would be cool to kind of, maybe even add to some other ones like slate and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That'd be really
Kenny
cool.
got some to give out in his some of his swag stuff he gave out last month.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I know I've got some of the rocks, right? You gave me a little baggie of rocks and some of the gears and stuff like that from your industrial styles.
Yep.
So, speaking of, if we look at the industrial, right, here's the night base, and was this the 120, I think?
Which one?
That's
the night one.
I think it is.
Here. It might be the 120. I don't remember. Yeah. It looks round.
There's maybe it's 100, or is it? I'm now guessing. Yeah, it's actually the 130, 130 round maybe. I don't know, but yeah, these are huge. Like the industrial bases. Here's some diamond plate.
Yeah, it's the 130. From the picture I just saw you post.
Yeah,
it's 130.
So it's really cool. You get all sorts of different styles of ruins. It's not just bricks and tiles, right? You've got all sorts of different varieties. Which one's your favorite? Which style?
Currently, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a mix right now. I'm playing Sigmar now, Age of Sigmar, and I'm doing Gloom Spite. So I'm using Slate, City Ruins, and Shattered Terrace to base the army in.
All right,
but I wouldn't say they're my favorite. I like them. I would probably say right now the Celtic Ruins are one of my favorite.
Oh, I've got a couple. I think some different streamers have sent out some sample packs, and I have a couple. But I would have to say, Shattered Terrace is probably, and you know this though. You've all the time. I just keep getting more and more because a friend gave me his entire AdMech army, so now I have to rebase an entire 50 or 60 troops and some bigger things. It's gonna be a lot of work, a lot of painting pink and tan. Yeah. But
I like the Corrupted Outpost a lot too.
Let's go over.
I put all my Grey Knights on them.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of using Grey Knights for that. That's actually a cool idea. And I've seen some of the other viewers. We've got one who was working on some chaos, and is it the despoiler? It's the large. It's like the spidery crawler that came in the previous.
Yeah, I don't have any idea what it's called.
Yeah,
but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is, but he put it on one of these bases. I don't even remember what size it comes on. Maybe 100. But the eyeballs in here, I completely forgot that the eyeballs are in here. So it's a little chaos corruption. Yep, it's really cool. I mean, even some of the more, I want to say, basic, and I mean that as in like more straightforward, like your diamond plate. And I know these are one of the lines that you need to go back and complete, but like you can get a lot of mileage and a lot of cool things out of just having some more of the straightforward lines with diamond plate, or your brick line. You can add extra bits to kind of personalize the basing to match that army. So you can put some Space Marines on here and maybe put some Orchids on the base or whatever, right, to make it look like they're fighting orcs and everything. So
that's one of the things we talked about is doing a couple lines with no damage, nothing on them, just straight either diamond plate or what is it, the stone, the brick, cobblestone. Just get the pattern on all the bases, and then you can do what you want with them.
Yeah, like a brick pattern without this little
Mm-hmm.
part torn away gives you
Yep.
the ability. Yeah, because I mean, I'll be honest. I took a sander to one of the bases. It's resin. You can wear away whatever you want, so you can clear something away and do whatever you want. No, I took the beveled edge off the bottom so I can mount it on that plinth. But yeah, I can imagine that there's plenty that you can customize these things with, being that the resin. Now, Death Marsh has always been a curious one to me because you've got this style, but then you've also got lava. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm
They're similar,
yeah.
except Death Marsh has like bodies and little critters and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's supposed to be like more Nurgle themed,
Okay.
like decay and stuff like that.
Have you painted any up yourself of these Death Marsh ones?
No,
Okay.
I have not.
I can imagine that Nurgle's rot technical paint in some of these,
Mm-hmm.
just making it look a little bit of like ooze.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Another streamer. He's moving this today.
Cosmic.
His name Cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
He put all of his models on that base, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw some of his chaos stuff on there. Um, one of the ones that I kind of want to call it a little bit of a sleeper. You don't really. I've overlooked this base way too many times, but the cyberpunk, right? I saw somebody. I can't even remember which streamer it was, but I saw somebody paint it up, and I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I was wrong. I'm sold. Because this one's got so much character in it, but then at the same time, it doesn't overtake your model, and you can get a lot of cool different styles out of just some of this etching on top of it. I'm curious who thought of this one, you or Steve?
Neither.
Really?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say neither. We had the basic outline of that stuff, and we gave it to a friend of ours
Okay.
who's out in Arizona, and
Mhm.
he did a bunch of those lines. He actually did this line. Um, he did the corrupted outpost and the Death Marsh lines.
Okay. Yeah, this one looked like it would have been a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I don't really like that picture.
It's yeah. I was trying to see if I can get
It's
zoomed in of
it's
some of them painted.
it's too plain.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like in the beginning when we first started. This was
Right.
one of the first ranges that came out, and we wanted to have them all painted. But since then, that's changed. Now I take pictures. I just have random people paint some,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'll throw them at the bottom of the pictures. So um, there'll be some that people can take a look at.
Right. So going back to City Ruins, which is one that I was showing some of the pieces for up here, right? Like here's the 25, and some of them are just flat, right, with a little bit of dirt in the ruins and everything. And then like you can see this one, if I hover over top of it, that has clearly a lot of height to it. Couple layers there of whatever basing material you use to kind of bring it up. So it's really cool. Um, I'd wonder, you get a couple packs of these, you put all your regular troops on the flat ones, and you put your lieutenants or sergeants or characters on the tall ones. At least that's kind of my mentality when I'm putting my Gene Stealer cult together. Like my the Alpha or I can't is he called the Alpha? The sniper on the bike, right? He's going on that City Ruin base that's lifted up. So,
Nice.
are there any particular other ones that you wanted to kind of key in on? I know we've talked about corrupted outposts. I hit on the cyberpunk, city ruins. Was there any other ones that you wanted to draw a little bit of attention to?
No, I think you hit them all.
Okay, I'm gonna grab the Lost Temple because I know you referenced that earlier. And there's one. Where's the one with the stairs? I have the 100 at home already. So this one's got the tree trunk.
Mm-hmm.
What was kind of the inspiration behind this one?
Um, it was that one's all Age of Sigmar focused. So, um, my question actually on the 120 flying base,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, what's gonna fit on here? He's like the dragon from the Sigmarite army, whatever that dragon is,
Okay,
and he fits on it. So
there you go. I don't remember many Age of Sigmar armies that use that large base. So I wouldn't have, it would have taken me all night to figure out that which one would have
oh,
done
there's
it.
a bunch of stuff that go in that base.
Really?
The 120,
Yeah.
the flying base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess.
Almost all of the balloon dwarves vehicles use the
Huh.
120.
I take that size base for granted. I mean, and you've seen me react to other things like the Ridge Runner. This goes on the flying base size as well, which completely blew my mind. I didn't even know what size base I was holding. I mean, to be completely honest, it doesn't, with all the new bigger ovals, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time that flying base felt big, and now it doesn't.
Well, when you look at the old days when there was only 25s,
Yeah.
and then you look at 32s, you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
25s look so small.
yeah, and it's. I mean, here I can switch back over to the hobby camera, right? And so this is the 32 size, and then here is the 25. I mean, like, it completely blows my mind just looking at them, even today. Here's a better one. You know, and I keep forgetting how small the 25s actually feel until you've got some AdMech, you've got a base on 25s, and then it, you
Yeah.
know, but you got a little bit for everybody. Um, and it's really cool. There's some other things that some people can jump into really quick and easy, that I wanted to show off just to add some more character. Like here's a Blood Bowl one, right? And I know doing this is not necessarily viable for resin bases, right? It's just a flat base with a bunch of grass on it. But you know, not everybody always has to go and get resin scenic bases, right? You can take what you've got at home and put some basing material down. And GW was actually sending out some bases with their models that are already scenic.
Texture.
Yeah, like the Dreadnought, the 60mm Dreadnought base. You know that I don't know if they still sell the Dreadnought with that base or if it's just a solid blank now, but
I don't know. I haven't bought a Dreadnought in forever.
me either. I wish they were
After
playable.
10, you don't need any more.
Oh my god. Do you just like, are they all the same chapter design too, or is it different chapters?
No, I have a couple different chapters.
Okay. If you said all the same one, I would have gotten a little concerned because I don't know anybody unless they're playing Apocalypse that can really use, unless you're playing Salamanders, that can do 10 dreads. Another thing you can do is take technical basing material like either the GW stuff or get some Vallejo or even what AK Interactive. There's all sorts of different companies out there that have texture. You slap it on there. You could use some tufts for grass and some natural rock. So some people can make some quick bases on the go, but if you really want to kick it up, right? There's just the scenic styles. So, but you know, Tony, I like where you guys are going, and I love the styles, and I'm excited to see some of the new stuff coming out. Not not just the fractured pavement, right? Because that's what we're working on. Pull let me pull some of those out. Are we allowed to give away the trade secrets and how some of these are made?
It's not too hard to figure out.
Right. So Oh, here's one that we didn't touch on that I really wanted to mention. The bases you have with pretty much what I try to turn into the marble. These will sneak up on you. These have really good use for both 40k and fantasy.
The Florida leaf.
Mm-hmm. I tried to learn marble on this one. Not my best, but I think these are really cool because I felt like anything kind of Inquisition based would have gone great on here. The Age of Sigmar guys, what the nickname Sigmarines. I never remember the actual faction name, but just everything kind of regal could go on here pretty easily, or even like dark elves, stuff like that. So it's really cool. Is this a stamp, or did you guys actually have like a tile piece like this that you broke up?
We rolled it, I think, okay. And then we kind of messed with it.
Sure.
And then did the resin cast, and then break it up and kind of go from there.
And then one of the other things, so we are working on fractured pavement. So here's one that I actually haven't put any texture on, but it was just this is one of the first ones when you had me build up the thickness, right? So here's a 50 mil with some pipe work and everything through it. So the top surface here will get some asphalt texture to the top, but it was basically supposed to look like shattered roads, or almost like an earthquake where the ground settled and cracked apart. Something smaller where you've got a hole and some conduit or pipes, or depending on who you ask, what rules are allowed when building roads in a fake imaginary world, right? So some people said you'll never have rebar in this kind of setting. Some people have said, well, there could be wire conduits and all sorts of stuff. So it's always a funny debate when you're making these things live and everyone's like, that's not real. Like, well,
that's why it's called fantasy.
Neither's 40k.
just saying.
They might have figured out a better way to make roads with those pipes.
Yeah. My advice is, if you don't think they should be there, cut them off.
Right. Another thing that goes into the thought process, right? We were talking about dry fitting some models and stuff like that. The Speed Freak size base. This was actually, for as plain as it is, this was a difficult one for me because there's very few models that go on this guy, right? Because it's only
there's only one, right? Or is there two now?
4, right? All the Speed Freak size vehicles.
So right, they have, but that's
it. It's just the orc vehicles, those.
Right.
And so here's the problem. All of the models using this right now, they all cover up the middle of the base.
Yep.
There's nothing to show. The trike would probably reveal the most. So you got to make the outer edges look fancy. And of course, I haven't put the basing material to make the sand and everything like that. But you have to put a lot more thought into it than just slapping something down and making it look like pavement, because there'd be no point to go overly crazy in this middle section here. Now I put a couple of divots in here for potholes. And so, there's some options, but these are a lot of fun and a lot of work. I don't think I was expecting the amount of complexity out of some of this. You laugh. You laugh, but you're like, I knew it the whole time.
I do it all the time. I have an idea, start a project, and then pass it off.
I can just imagine you either calling Steve or talking to him. Hey, I've got an idea. It'll be fine. It'll be easy. And then you're like a couple months down the road going, what the hell was I thinking? But yeah, fractured pavement. So that's one of the new lines. I know I should be getting mine over to you soon. And I think the ones that you've worked on are they mostly ready? You think? Maybe?
They're 90%.
Okay. So and I think on my next Mentor Monday, I should be digging into getting as much of those at least textured up as possible. Some of them, of course, we looked at putting gears and other rubble and stuff on top of the roadbed after it all dries out, and everything, so it can be molded. So those will be coming in the near future. Duff, surprisingly, well, not so surprisingly, he was the actual one who named it, right? Because we had the naming contest, everybody participated in that.
And he won the naming contest.
Yes. So he was we had a lot of interesting names. There was another one that I was personally hoping for, which I can't even remember now, so it must not have been that great of a name. Fractured Pavement. Once we found that name, it stuck. I didn't even realize he was the one who provided it, but that just seemed to be a big one that kind of ran away with the whole thing, and the votes were pretty substantial towards that as well. So hopefully it'll be a good popular line. Everybody will like it. It'll give everyone another chance to have some roads. I didn't see a whole lot of roads like this anywhere else. I know other people make them, but I didn't see a whole lot of variety to get roads for people to use, to put bikes on and vehicles on and stuff like that. So, but I know I said we would go for an hour, but I think this is pretty much everything with basing. I wasn't sure kind of where we were going to go with this. I wanted to feel out the conversation. But I guess the whole summary here is if you guys are looking for different ways of adding character, adding style, adding some personality to your models, there's Elrik's Hobbies, and there's a couple of other competitors that just give you a whole bunch of different flavors, and allow for you to mix and match to really bring out the battlescape. Some of the things you can consider when you're making your bases or when you're picking your bases is what your battlescape is, what your story is, what the characters are like, because you certainly won't want to use. I really don't see a lot of people taking regular Space Marines on arcane bases, right? You could find a reason, you could find a story for it, but there are some things that kind of help align better than others, or you can just say, I don't care, I think that base is cool, and slap whatever model you want on there for whatever size base you want. I just like the personality that these bases will give you. So, but Tony, I've enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed learning the history of how you got started, because I've always wondered why I've been calling you Elrik by the company name, and then found out that that's not. The first email I got, I'm like, this is not. So his name's not Elrik?
It's all right. People were asking for Elrik the first year we got at Adepticon.
Does Steve does he go with you to Adepticon, or does he stick you with all the work out there?
Oh no, he's with me.
You drag him along?
We both bring both of our families.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
It's a family adventure.
I think adventure would be the right word. Some people say it's a family event. I'm like, there's a bit of a challenge there. It's a very, very. I've heard a lot of stories, and I know Gen Con is going to be no easier for some people. Are you going down to Gen Con? I don't remember how close you are to Gen Con.
No, I haven't gone. I've never gone, actually. I have friends that are there now.
Okay.
That go every year.
I wish one year I will be there. I don't know when that'll be, but I will be there 1 year.
I don't know if it's our cup of tea.
Right. Yeah,
because it's more gaming and a lot of board games and stuff like that. I know some vendors that go there every year from our area, and we just go.
Well, it all depends on what kind of supplies they're providing. I mean, yeah, resin bases, scenic bases might work in some board games, but it doesn't really. I mean, not always. So I totally get it from a company perspective that that might not be the market. Adepticon feels like the Super Bowl for anybody talking minis about anything. It's a huge deal. So, all right. Well, I think we're gonna close up the podcast from here. But Tony, I've appreciated the conversation. I think this is one of the first times. Like one of the longest conversations we've had. We mostly just text back and forth real quick. So, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here last minute and talk about basing and bases and letting me show off some of your stuff, and then also give a little bit of commentary on some of the other bases that exist out there. you have anything for us before we wrap up? You guys have any events or appearances? You said October is your next convention.
Yeah, that's Dragonfall.
Okay, where's
That's
that?
out in Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
Out in not far from Chicago.
Okay.
But it's a small event.
Sure. So if you guys are looking to meet Tony from Elrik Hobbies, next con, it's October. Any other big events for you guys? Any other new bases you guys have planned or?
Yeah, we've got like 4. Besides, well, we're one of them. And then there's another one that's almost done, and then have another streamer working on one.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3. And then there's another one after that. So
okay.
When they'll be coming, I don't know.
It's
soon.
Yeah, I thought for sure. I was like, oh, this will be a quick process, and it's taken up some time, but I've enjoyed it. I didn't realize how inspiring it could be for other people to watch this, and a couple of people, one person in particular, has just jumped into the deep end, making their own bases for some of their little characters and stuff like that. So it's been fun to watch other people kind of get that bug, and get going. And I've learned a whole lot about roads that I did not realize before starting this one. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing people put them on the tabletop, playing some games, taking photos, stuff like that. So anyway,
it'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna close up from here. So if anybody has any other topics, ideas, guests, or suggestions on who we can bring on, send me an email or send Duff an email, gamerdadnc@gmail, or impendingduff40k@gmail.com. Follow us on all of our social medias. Mine's scrolling across the bottom. You can follow and post your photos by tagging Elrik's _hobbies_display on Instagram. You can also follow Tony directly. I'll put his direct social media up. I'll have you kind of let me know which ones you're still using, or which ones you want me to put out there so people can follow and stuff like that. I don't know which ones you're using for personal life, work life, anything like that. So we'll get that out there for you as well. So give him a follow. You can catch episodes of this podcast on YouTube on the TRUgaming channel, and a huge shout out to TRUgaming for all of their support in helping us produce this podcast. Green Cord, one of the guys over there, approached me about doing something hobby related. Duff helped me get it off the ground with a lot of other people from our community, put our heads together, and we are where we are with the tabletop spotlight. So it's been really appreciative about the community to come around and support this. And I will be publishing this on Friday. We will be putting together the next episode. I'm going to try and see if we're going to do one next Wednesday. I don't know. I think Duff is still traveling for some work and conventions and tutorials and stuff like that. So we might not have one next week. I'll try and put one together for another one-on-one interview if we can. But otherwise, this will be posted on YouTube, iTunes, all over the place Friday night. And so we record live, and 2 days later it'll be published for you guys to watch later. So we are out of here. Tony, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great night.
Yep, absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
Yep, take care.
Yeah,